Welcome to the Codecast Podcast. Real-world insights for your daily medical coding and billing processes. And now, here's your host, Terry Fletcher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Codecast Podcast. My name is Terry Fletcher. We are at episode 46 this week. We are well into September. And today I'm going to actually change up some things a little bit. I've had a couple of requests for certain topics, and I would like to speak on how to give a winning presentation either to your boss or if you're having to speak in front of a crowd, not just in front of your team. That makes a big difference. And how to really turn those speaking jitters into really a dynamic presentation. I think it's important, especially in healthcare, and I'm doing this in the spirit of where I'm headed. Actually, as I'm recording this, I get invited every year to the AAPC Hawaii regional conference. And so I'm speaking next week, and you'll actually hear this a couple weeks after that. But it's really something that, I take pride in. I speak a lot. Those of you that know me, I'm out there as a public speaker, and not just at conferences, but I do live seminars and also try to speak at local chapter meetings and also for different entities around the country, just, giving some insight and some information, not only in the healthcare sector, but also in what I like to call the business collective sector. So really just showing people what it takes to be an entrepreneur, what it takes to make it in the medical field, from a entrepreneur standpoint, and then also from a consultant standpoint. But how to give good advice, how to make sure that you are updated, you're accurate, and then it brings us to how do you present. So best practices for speaking in front of that crowd, really showing you how to overcome that fear. I know some of you have said, I just want to do what you do. I'm like, okay, well, let's dive into it. But first, today's Codecast podcast is brought to you by Medical Economics, Smarter Business, Better Patient Care. Follow them for the latest news and viewpoints on primary care, specialty medicine, the business of medicine, and health IT. Check out their website to access their virtual magazine publication at medicaleconomics.modernmedicine.com. Smarter Business, Better Patient Care. Okay, so how can we kind of start to take a look at this? And I want to kind of take you methodically through just some of the things that I do, and hopefully it'll help you. I'm not sure if it will, but I'm hoping it will. I hope that it'll just give you a little bit of that confidence boost and a career boost. And one of the things that I found in my career was as soon as I started speaking for a living and really putting myself out there, that's when the money started coming in. That's when the income really rose, and that's what took my career to just not just a different level, but the next level. And that's really what you want to look at if you're trying to just further your career in healthcare, further your career as a coder, as a biller, as a healthcare professional. And so everybody is nervous presenting in front of peers, okay? Even I still get nervous, absolutely. To me, if you don't get nervous, you need a humbling moment because, just the thought of standing in front of a crowd is daunting. And for some of you that are thinking, I'm never doing that, it's probably because it maybe sends chills of fear up your spine, or it makes you feel like, I'm feeling nauseous already. Well, although speaking triggers real worries, anyone can do it, even the most frightened of all of you out there. So if you're a person who likes to feel like, the worries of presenting would consume you, I just want to give you some tips to hopefully help you overcome your speaking insecurities. Okay, so let's take a look at this. First of all, I want you to take the focus off of you. And I know that's funny coming from a public speaker because I actually really like public speaking, so it's a little bit different. I love being out there. I love engaging with the crowd, but when you're presenting, you want to take the focus off of you because although you are presenting to sharpen your professional career skills and build your confidence, the presentation is not about you. So think of it this way. You're there to share information, maybe at a local chapter or at a conference or even just in front of a large group of your physicians or even your staff. And they will welcome your expertise and help you feel comfortable if you let them. So let's say you want to provide low-cost education, to your staff, or you want to give some information to your physicians. First of all, you want to create slides. Okay, that's what I do. So if you have a PowerPoint presentation, slides are easy. Let's say you're not a PowerPoint person. Okay, it's not my favorite thing, but it's easy when I walk around a room because I just keep my laser pointer and my clicker, and then I can kind of travel with it and change slides as I need to. And so that's fun because I feel like I can engage with the audience, but still have my material up on the board. Or create handouts if you don't like all eyes staring at you, and I get that. Actually, I don't get that. It's, you know what, I like it when people are engaged and looking up and saying, Terry, I need your help. So, okay, that might seem a little hammy, but I can't help it. I like it when I look out in the audience and people are looking right back at me and engaged and really wanting to, kind of absorb the information. But if you don't like eyes staring at you, a handout gives the audience something to look at while you talk. They can take notes on it, jot questions down, and they can also refer to it if if they forgot something that you said. It's also a good idea to put your contact information on there because they can give you a question after the fact. Now, because I've been in the industry over 30 years, sometimes I do limit questions, not a lot, because I do want everybody to know that they can come to me. But I limit questions in the respect that, so for example, a lot of you on the Codecast podcast, I appreciate, we're almost at 17,000 downloads and listeners. And I just appreciate that so much, just seeing the numbers grow. And I get some contact, I get some coding questions here and there, and absolutely appreciate that. But what the Codecast podcast is for is to also, I'm going to put it out there, is to generate business and to make sure that you know that you have somebody that's in your corner, has your back, has information that could be not only important for you, but you don't have to search it out. You can come to us for help, but that it does cost money. So I'm happy to answer a question here and there, especially if you hear something in my podcast, you need clarification, absolutely. And then I would invite you to join my membership, and that's for unlimited questions for a certain fee per year. So everything happens where you're funneling different things into different areas. And I'm saying that only because yourself, if you give your information, then just know you will get contacted. And so be ready for that. And I actually love it when, the Codecast membership downloads, all of our listeners, when you contact me, I love hearing from you. So, if there's any way I can help, we definitely try to do that. So the other thing, first possibly create slides, create handouts if that's more comfortable for you. Now, somebody had once told me sweeten up attendees. Sometimes I'll do that depending on where I'm at. So one of the things I love to do is I love to put certain mints on the table. I will put that in almost every table whenever I'm at, even a hotel and presenting, or I know when I go to Arizona, I go to the Arizona Medical Association and present. Everybody gets mints or Tic Tacs or little tins of, Altoids. I just like putting that on the table, and it's really appreciated. People like that. Now, it's funny, if I am in colder states, during the winter, I get the fun packs of M&Ms and I put those on people's desks. So it just depends what you want. I actually had one class that I just was in a mood, and I brought a bunch of Tootsie Pops. And it's pretty funny when people are there with their Tootsie Pops. But if you suffer from something called misophonia, have you ever heard of that? That's a diagnosis. And that is a adherence, or basically you just don't like loud crunching from either food or noises. Then you get distracted. So then you want to make sure that you have something a little soft for them to eat. But just so you know, that actually is a phobia. Include diagrams or visuals. So if you're presenting anatomy information, or if you're trying to do some kind of visual stimulation, then it's helpful if you can use displays or label posters or have something that's colorful up for your attendees or people you're speaking to listen to. And always leave time for questions. This is less time that you have to present and more time for the audience to get information that pertains to their specific needs as well. And once you start talking, you will be surprised at how excited and eager a lot of your peers are to listen to you. When you make them feel comfortable and important, your anxiety can ease because they can be receptive. And a lot of them, I would say the most part, people are very respectful. You're going to have occasionally that person that thinks they know more than you do, which is fine. I never walk into a room and think I know everything. Absolutely not. I think I have, and I always say this, I have a good knowledge base, but there could be somebody out there that definitely knows more than I do. And you always want to be a sponge for that and make sure that you're at least open to the fact that somebody could also have maybe a different opinion on how things work. So use your nervous energy towards preparation. So preparation is key to putting your mind at ease. So allow yourself plenty of time to put everything together and try not to procrastinate like I have become accustomed to. So the quicker you get started on your presentation, the more you will know the material and put your fears to rest. One of the things, and I'm, I hate to admit this, but just been doing this a really long time. And every once in a while, I'm like, oh no, it's next week. And now I'm putting together a PowerPoint and, trying to really get my material so it's accurate, it's current, it's correct. And you have to walk away from it. Once you get it all ready, walk away, give it 24 hours, and then come back and you got to review your slides. It's amazing to me the next day how many mistakes I find, not just typos, but okay, I didn't want slide 3 right there. It should come after slide 8. Making sure that the font is the same, that there's just things that are the same within that area so that you're not giving materials that are not appropriate, that are not professional. So you always want to make sure that that's there's something that you're really mindful of. So even seasoned speakers have had to start somewhere, and they get nervous about speaking, absolutely for sure. So when you look at that, you want to make sure that walk around the room before the session and talk to certain attendees. Say hi to them. When you're walking around, you usually have a name tag on. You have something that says speaker, and you want to make sure that you are engaged right off the bat with your attendees. I try to find something to relate with them and make sure the audience knows that I'm on their level. I'm not talking down to them. I'm sharing information, and I'm really appreciative that I was asked to speak there. I'm always, open to input from attendees, as long as it doesn't take over the talk. You don't want anybody monopolizing. The other thing is, and I may be a rule breaker here, but keep it casual. The more casual, the better. Not in the sense that you're not professional, but I want the attendees to feel comfortable speaking up during my talk if they raise their hand and they're not intrusive, but they can't interrupt just with a hand raise. And I let them know that. I say, if you have a question at the end of this section, please let me know. Not just the whole session, but the end of the section. And I say that because not only it puts the attendees at ease, but it puts me at ease as well. And then try a little bit of humor. One of the things that, overcame my fears, a little bit of joking around. I sometimes ask the room to laugh really loud so the room next to us hears how much fun we're having. And then they start laughing at that regardless of the subject. But I really try to make anything kind of fun and engaging. And you try to make something fun and engaging that has to do with coding. It's not easy. Now, always be professional with your humor and sensitive to others, especially nowadays. But you just also keep yourself in check. And you're sharing your knowledge and just understanding what it is to really speak to a crowd. And also, put yourself in the shoes of the attendee. I kept remembering what it was like to be an attendee and not a speaker. And I was always just appreciative that somebody was willing to get up there and speak. And it helped me to refocus on who I was educating. And also breathe first and take in the energy. I was nervous for the first 5 minutes or less, and then the energy in the room just took over, and so did my passion for the topic. It's such a great experience because you're fully present in the moment, and you just feel really good about you. Now, the one thing that is going to happen probably is that you're going to feel really tired after. For some reason, you just think, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And it just is a huge kind of, I don't want to say letdown, but just a huge mental, you're done and you just can breathe moment. So what I want to give you are the 12 best practices for speaking in front of a big crowd. And other than practice makes perfect, here are some tips that I have for, and also I've gotten these from also my fellow speakers in the field. And this is really what I believe will help you hopefully when you speak. First of all, it's important to really just embrace the nerves. Always keep in mind that even the most accomplished speakers get nervous. Leading up to public speaking, it is completely natural. The nerves are actually a good thing and can be used to your advantage if channeled correctly. So it's adrenaline pumping through your veins, similar to what a professional athlete might go through or experience before they're, getting ready to play in their game. But just so you know, I have 502 people to speak to next week, and I'm nervous. And, and I know the subject matter. I'm speaking on telehealth and telemedicine. And I know it left to, like the back of my hand, left to right. But it's just crazy how nervous I am just thinking about all those people. But I'm excited crazy. I'm not, I was going to say I'm not crazy. And I'm a little crazy. I'm a little nuts here. But I'm saying that I'm just excited to be able to do it. It's definitely a little bit outside my comfort zone. I'm usually somebody who can speak to anywhere from 5 people to about 380, maybe 400. But once I hit over 400, I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So I'm actually over 500, and that's a little bit different. Now, if there's one thing that you want to take away from this is going to be know your content. There's a big difference between relying on a single slide deck for the content of your talk and just keeping a rough outline. If you know your content so well that you can have no stress casual conversation off the stage about it all day long, you'll be much more comfortable on the stage. So giving a speech where you need to be constantly reading off your cheat sheet or your cards is a recipe for disaster. So make sure that you know your content. That is huge for anything that you're presenting. Next, be human. Okay, approach the crowd like you're having a conversation with a friend. Assume everyone there likes you, wants to hear what you have to say, and wants to grab a beer with you after. Talk like a human, act like a human, and own it. Just be very personable, very approachable. That's the biggest thing, very approachable. And that is what's going to give you success in what you're doing. One of the other important aspects of this is breathe. Nothing can be more powerful than acknowledging, embracing, and taking charge of your breath before speaking in front of a large audience. Breathe in to the big moments and breathe out to pause them. And then speak from the heart. The only thing worse than not being prepared is preparing too much. If you're going to speak in front of an audience, it should come naturally. It should be prepared in advance, but not recited. If you plan your speech verbatim, you run the risk of losing the beat and getting lost when you stumble. But if you focus on a few higher level points, you can speak intuitively around those points. And then believe you're the expert. I often perform best when I convince myself that everyone in the room wants to hear what I have to say. If you're positioned as an expert and attendees are in need of your knowledge, speaking confidently will come much more easily to you. Besides, speaking with confidence will ensure that the audience trusts you and trusts what you're talking about. So I was actually recently, I was mentioning before that I'm kind of a podcast junkie now. So I listen to different ones, which is kind of sad because I used to get a really big kick out of singing in the car. We all are, our own Madonna in the car with our fun songs. But I'm just sitting here going, well, now I like to listen to podcasts and see what's out there. But it's pretty funny because there's a couple out there and they start their podcast, they start their talk with this negative. Well, I don't know if I know everything about this, or I'm not sure if I know this. And I'm thinking, then why am I listening to you? So be confident in what you know. I understand taking on new topics can help you learn new things, but you want to, if you're going to speak, you want to make sure that you are talking and speaking about things that you have a good knowledge base on, again, because you want to be the expert up there. You want to make sure that you're the person that they can't wait to hear from. So I mentioned Hawaii. This is my 15th year being invited back, and I'm so excited to be invited back. And I just hope that it's because people are engaged when I am speaking and that they feel comfortable with the information I'm giving them, and they know that I try to be as updated as possible, current, and I have a good knowledge base of the material. So try to use those tips. Hopefully that really helped you as you move on in your career, not only with coding, billing, reimbursement, compliance, you name it in healthcare. This healthcare is such a huge field. Your career can go anywhere. I started just as a coder, and now just between auditing and presenting and educating and coding and billing, you name it. I'm designing waiting rooms and, podcasting, and and still speaking, but there are just so many places you can go with it. And just dealing with some of the different areas. I'm negotiating contracts all over the country to include things that are borderline healthcare in healthcare policies. And so things like that, just knowing what your genre is, knowing what your subject matter is, and be comfortable, be professional, know what's going on as far as keeping eye contact, make sure you have some water to drink. Those are important things as well, because you are going to get dry mouth. If you have a tickle, those are the worst. And so you always want to I like to have a straw. So it's better than trying to drink out of a water bottle or with just a cup of water. So if you have a straw, something with that. And I need cold water. If anybody knows me, my Starbucks iced tea with my extra ice, that is my go-to for when I'm podcasting, when I'm speaking, when I'm presenting. My brother, who's awesome, he brings me one during a seminar when he works with me. And it's funny because I actually now, my music producer and content producer, Desassin, when he comes and works with me, he will sometimes stop by and bring me a nice tea as well. So everybody knows that's who I am. And it just helps me with my presentation and helps me be comfortable. And so do what makes you comfortable. In Hawaii, one thing that's really tough is because the humidity is there, you get very hot up on the stage. And so I have a tiny little fan I got from Sharpen Image that also helps. And that just kind of cools you off. So you just don't feel like, okay, this is going to be a problem. So that's something else that you can keep in mind as well. And I know everybody likes to look like the 3-piece suit, stiletto heels, all that kind of thing. That's definitely not me. Professional, yes. Professional, put together, making sure that you have when I say uniform, the professional look when you're speaking, absolutely. But for, the women out there, even the men out there, comfortable shoes are important if you're speaking in front of a large crowd and you're walking around the room. And so keep that in mind. Lavalier mics are always helpful. But again, if you leave time for question and answer, make sure that you know the material. And it's okay to say, you know what, let me find out that answer for you and I will get back to you. So my information is in the book. So make sure you also give me or your materials, and make sure you also reach out to me in case I don't get back to you quickly. And I'm more than happy to do some research on that. That's a perfect example of how to respond to something if you just don't know the answer. Don't wing it if you don't know, because people write down and listen to everything you say, and they will believe anything you say if you are on the speaker lineup. So make sure that you have a response, or at least you know where to find the information so that it's accurate, it's appropriate, and you have credibility. So we want to thank ICD-10 Monitor, a division of MedLearn Media. They're an online news and information service created to help healthcare providers in all settings make informed decisions relative to coding, clinical documentation integrity, value-based purchasing, and other new payment methodologies. ICD-10 Monitor reports on current issues, including population health, physician engagement, and the patient experience. ICD-10monitor.com. Make sure you also take a look at their website, go under news and find the board members. I'm an editorial advisory board member, and I've written several articles, not just this week, but in the last few months, on a lot of the changes coming out with Medicare, some of the things that are happening. So if you're interested in reading some of those updates, good information there. I'm also on their Talk 10 Tuesday at 6:30 in the morning and 7 o'clock in the morning on Pacific time. So if you're interested in listening into that, that's actually a live news broadcast on healthcare. I'm in there at least twice a month, so take a look at that. But I really like that company. Okay, so everybody, I hope you're having a great September so far. Football season has started. Go Steelers. And everybody go out and make it a great day.
For more information on medical coding, billing, auditing, and compliance, including how to hire Terry, follow Terry on Twitter at TerryCoder1 or visit her website at www.terryfletcher.net. Podcast producer Joe Kuzma. Music producer Desassin Music.